Flight attendant disrespected to black. Twin pilots unaware their dad owned the jet. Channel: Inspired. Now, have you ever seen someone treat others like they're less only to realize they just disrespected the wrong people? Because what happened on Washington Airways Flight 2190 will make you believe in karma all over again. You're watching Inspired Now, where true stories of justice, courage, and redemption take flight. It started on a bright morning at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta. Two identical men, tall, confident, and sharply dressed in pilot uniforms, walked through the terminal side by side. Passengers turned heads as they passed, same stride, same smile, same glint of focus in their eyes. Malcolm and Marcus Washington, twin brothers, were about to make history. It was their first time flying together as co-pilots for Washington Airways. What no one knew was that these two weren't just pilots, they were the sons of the man who owned the airline. But their father, Isaiah Washington, had made them promise never to reveal it. "Earn your wings, not your name," he'd said. And for years, they did exactly that. The trouble began before they even reached the cockpit. As they approached the security checkpoint, a flight attendant named Rachel Bennett spotted them. At 47, Rachel had been flying for nearly 2 decades. She liked order, routine, and though she'd never admit it, she liked her cockpit crews to look the part. When she saw 2 young black men scanning their badges at the crew gate, her face tightened. "Excuse me," she said sharply, stepping forward. "This line is for flight crew only." Malcolm looked up, calm but firm. "Yes, ma'am. We're the pilots." Her brows lifted, disbelief written across her face. "Both of you?" "Yes," Marcus replied, matching her tone. "First Officer and Second Officer Washington, Flight 21902 Denver." Rachel forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "How progressive," she muttered under her breath. Then, louder, "I'll need to see additional identification." The security officer at the desk hesitated. "Ms. Bennett, they've already cleared its standard," Rachel cut in. Though it wasn't. She checked their badges and licenses like she was examining counterfeits, ignoring the uncomfortable silence around her. When she finally waved them through, she added, "Well, let's hope this isn't some sort of diversity experiment." The brothers said nothing. They'd learned long ago that grace under pressure spoke louder than anger. Once inside the aircrafter, gleaming new Boeing 737, they began pre-flight checks with precision. Systems, fuel, weather, communications. Every switch flipped, every checklist followed. Their supervising Captain Harold Weber, a seasoned pilot with 30 years in the air, watched them work with quiet admiration. "You two run tighter than clockwork," he said. Rachel entered with the manifest in hand, her smile back on. "Morning, Captain. Just checking, are these gentlemen fully certified on this model?" Captain Weber looked up, surprised. "Ms. Bennett, they've both logged more hours than I had at their age." "You're in good hands." Her lips tightened again. "Just being thorough," she said, then left the cockpit. The flight boarded smoothly. Passengers filed into first-class business and economy, unaware that tension was already simmering among the crew. Rachel avoided speaking to the brothers directly, instead giving instructions to junior attendants. When Marcus adjusted cabin lighting, she snapped, "You might want to leave that to maintenance." When Malcolm checked the intercom, she said sweetly, "Oh, are you sure you know how?" Other crew members exchanged uneasy glances. One of them, Alicia Turner, a younger attendant, whispered to a colleague, "She's really going to regret this one day." That regret was closer than Rachel realized. Boarding finished. The last passenger, distinguished black man in his 60s, wearing a tailored gray suit and a quiet confidence, stepped into first class. "Good morning," he said warmly. "Isaiah Johnson, seat 2A." Rachel greeted him with the same practiced smile she'd given thousands of passengers. But something about him unsettled her. Maybe it was the calm authority in his tone or the way he carried himself. When he asked for assistance with his bag, she said, "You might need to check that, sir. Overhead space is limited." He looked at the half-empty bin, then at her. "I believe it will fit," he said gently. It did. Throughout boarding, Rachel treated other first-class passengers with charm-offering drinks. Extra pillows but to Isaiah. She was curt and dismissive. When he asked for water with ice, she returned with warm tap water. When he pressed the call button, she ignored it for several minutes. Isaiah, however, said nothing. He simply observed. He'd dealt with people like her before, people who mistook politeness for weakness. The plane lifted off smoothly. In the cockpit, Malcolm and Marcus flew like a duet, voices steady, movements synchronized. They had no idea their father was sitting 20 feet behind them, mid-flight. Isaiah overheard Rachel whispering to another attendant. Two pilots with the same last name. "Washington. Please. Nepotism or quotos, take your pick." Alicia stiffened. "You shouldn't say that." Rachel shrugged. "I call it like I see it." Isaiah took a slow sip of his water. Then he stood, walked quietly to the galley, and said, "Excuse me, Ms. Bennett. I'd like to visit the cockpit for a moment. I'm an aviation consultant. The captain can confirm my clearance." Rachel hesitated. "That's not usually allowed." "Please check," Isaiah said calmly. She called the cockpit. Captain Weber responded instantly. "Yes, let Mr. Johnson in." Rachel led Isaiah forward, still confused. As he entered, Malcolm turned, then froze. "Dad." Rachel blinked. "Dad." Isaiah smiled, his voice proud. "First Officer Washington." "Second Officer Washington." "Excellent work, gentlemen." Rachel's face drained of color. "You're your father." Isaiah nodded, extending a hand to Captain Weber. "Beautiful aircraft, Captain." "My compliments." "Mr. Washington," Weber said, shaking his hand. "It's an honor." Rachel's eyes widened. "Washington?" She whispered. "You mean yes?" Isaiah said evenly. Isaiah Washington, founder and owner of Washington Airways. The silence that followed could have frozen the engines. Isaiah looked at his sons. "Carry on. You're doing me proud." Then he turned to Rachel. "And Ms. Bennett, thank you for ensuring my crew is so thoroughly verified." His tone was polite, but the message was unmistakable. Back in first class, Rachel could barely focus. Every "yes, sir" came out shaky. Every smile looked forced. Her earlier arrogance had vanished, replaced by dread. After landing in Denver, the passengers deplaned. Isaiah stayed behind with Captain Weber, Malcolm, Marcus, and Rachel, who stood frozen near the galley. Isaiah spoke softly. "Ms. Bennett, do you know why my sons don't use my last name professionally?" She swallowed hard. "No, sir. Because I wanted them to earn respect without it," Isaiah said. "What they didn't need was someone like you questioning whether they belonged." "I didn't mean," she stammered. "It doesn't matter what you meant," Isaiah interrupted. "What matters is what you did. You judged two professionals by the color of their skin instead of their record." Captain Weber stepped in. "Mr. Washington, I'll file an official report. Her conduct doesn't represent our crew." Isaiah nodded. "Do that, and Ms. Bennett takes some time off. Learn the difference between authority and arrogance." Tears filled her eyes. "Please, sir. I've worked here 15 years, and yet," Isaiah said, "you still haven't learned that respect is the first rule of flight safety. Because when people feel unwelcome, they stop speaking up. That's how real disasters start." Rachel lowered her gaze. "Yes, sir." Isaiah turned to his sons. "You've handled yourselves with grace. That's how we change things, not with anger, but excellence." Marcus smiled faintly. "Guess you picked the right day to fly with us, huh?" Isaiah chuckled. or maybe the right day picked me. As they walked off the jet, sunlight spilled across the tarmac, 3 Washingtons, side by side. For them, this flight had been more than a route between 2 cities. It was proof that no amount of prejudice could ground excellence forever. Back in the terminal, passengers who'd seen the confrontation whispered in awe. The story spread across social media that night. Flight attendant disrespected twin pilots then. Found out their father owned the jet. By morning, it had millions of views. The airline released a statement praising the Washington brothers for professionalism and announcing new diversity training for all staff. Isaiah didn't need to say it. But his son's already new change had taken off. And it wasn't landing anytime soon. If this story inspired you, hit that like button, share it with someone who believes in quiet justice, and subscribe to Inspired Now for more true stories that prove respect is the highest altitude anyone can reach.